Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks. First and goal, we gotta tough it out. Get in the end zone and call a hot route. O-line to beat, Mike bang the streak and have Humphreys run right underneath. You know it's Bucks ball, we got the hardest D. Bring the pressure to the QB, you know it's routine. We got hard greens. Welcome to Tampa, welcome to Turbo. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Reppin' for my team. Go Bucks, go Bucks. You know we want the ring. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Welcome to the Bay. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Tune in with Buccaneer Blade. Doug's back, we can run and toss. Mike Evans looking like Randy Moss. And Jameis make the play after play. On the defense, you can't stop Levante. On my boy McCoy, who you can't avoid. At the Raymond James, you about to feel the pain. If you a Bucks fan, make a lot of noise. If you a Bucks fan, make a lot of noise. Go Bucks.
All right, as always, I just have one question. Is this thing recording? Is this thing recording? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another session of Bucblake Sports with your host, Mr. Buccaneer Blake himself. Today's Happy Mother's Day. Give a shout out to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day for everybody and everything. Let me get into my normal thing before I start rambling like I always do. You can check out all the previous shows on the website www.buckandblakesports.com. You can find me on IG at Buckenblake Sports, Twitter at Buckenblake, Snapchat Buckenblake Sports. You can check out all the previous shows and everything there. We'll start with, as you can see, as I have our agenda posted on the Facebook Live net. We'll start with minor roster adjustments. Most of these guys you probably ain't hear of, but I'm gonna keep you updated on the website. I have it as well marked there. The first one, the minor roster adjustment, was on the undrafted free agents. Defensive end Antonio Simmons from Georgia Tech was released. Safety Josh Liddell from Arkansas was released as well. But we did pick up contracts on cornerback Mark Myers from Southeastern and Lakeland. Offensive lineman Ruben Holcomb from University of Indy, small-time school. Like I said, not too much to talk about. There's really not much to know. They are going to pick up on Sean Wilson contract, the running back from Duke. We'll get into that later when I go down the other topics. Again, if you have questions and stuff you want to say, I am live. I can see what you're saying. I will interact with your questions later on. Just have to give me a second to get to it. Dungy. Start off with the top. Dungy Hall of Fame. Oh, also, make sure you go to the website and you click donate. If you can donate $1, whatever you can donate, whether it's time or money, you go to Dream Forever Foundation by Jameis Winston. Also, keep in sight on the website with raffles and giveaways from the website. Any money collected, given to me, given to Buckenblake Sports or whatever, it all goes to that charity. Nothing is kept by me. I will continue to post, receipts and all that other stuff so you can see the contributions that you've given to me or given to there. It goes straight to there. I keep nothing. Everything goes straight to the charity. Where's that? So, Ring of Honor, Tony Dungy. What do you think? And do you think it's about time? So you think he should have went in before Dungy? It's hard to say because, people want to give Dungy, the best credit because he won the Super Bowl. But everybody knows that Dungy, built that roster. And he just couldn't quite get the offense going as quickly as John Gruden could do. Because Gruden was the offensive guru. The situation kind of reminds me of I'm gonna go ahead and say it. And that situation kind of reminds me of Lovie Smith and Dirk Cutter. The only difference is that we didn't have to trade for Cutter was already on the roster, which was brought on by Lovie Smith. And Dirk Cutter evidently was supposed to be this offensive genius with this powerhouse offense that he has, and we seem to just can't. Well, I ain't gonna say seem to just can't, but our offense is moving. But there's been time and time again that Cutter's decision making with play calling hasn't been quite up to par. Where I wonder what it would have looked like if we kept Lovie Smith and tried to move things, because he gave, unlike Cutter calls the plays, Lovie Smith gave the offense over to Cutter, but he took over the defense, and that's kind of how it goes. But Lovie gave all the effort into picking up offense for this team and sacrificed the defense, and now we're trying to get all defensive players now and see how that looks, because even though Lovie's gone, we're still struggling on defense. It wasn't the coach, it was what we had, and we weren't fixing the things that we needed to fix. Like I said, I told you I ramble on. But again, I think Dungy should have probably been in there early. I'll say even before Gruden, everything you kind of set up, because in a way, I guess it was kind of good that you put Gruden in the Ring of Honor before, moments before that he signed with the Raiders and took ownership in Oakland, and said he never wanted to leave Oakland to begin with. And people here in Tampa constantly praise, Gruden as like the second coming of Jesus Christ. But, it's like what it is. The situation, we made it happen. We won a Super Bowl out of it. But Tony Dungy's done it. He still continues to do a lot of good things in this community. When it's all said and done, when Dungy's time is done here on this world, you'll forget even about that he even coached the NFL team and won a Super Bowl with the team, because I think his contribution to players, to people, the community is much more than the time you spend on the TV and on the gridiron on television, because the impacts of people that you're doing for less unfortunate people who need are more impactful in this world than playing football. That's more of a job. Granted, those people earn where they at on the TV and they earn those jobs, but you guys get what I'm saying. So I have a question: who do you think would be next in the Ring of Honor? I have to say Rondé Barber. Rondé Barber has to go into the Ring of Honor next, much as I think Rondé Barber, belongs in the Hall of Fame, especially with the sack situation. And Lynch is kind of hard to say. I mean, not in the Ring of Honor, but in the Hall of Fame, because Dawkins' numbers are much better than his. But nobody's gonna argue with that. But yeah, I have to say Rondé Barber has to be the next to go in the Ring of Honor after Dungy this season. And unfortunately for me, I've got to see every one of those banners hung or hanged up in Raymond James Stadium. I'm happy I got to see that. What's going on, Miss Morrell? I still remember you when I was a little freshman. I ain't gonna say the stuff they used to say, but we'll just keep that as it is. Top standouts for the camp going up. Of course, you're gonna say Vea, Carlton Davis, and Wilson. Like I say, the running back from Duke, and Kappa. Kappa's picking up really, really fast. Kappa's probably one of those players, either he wanted to stay home or didn't have the grades to get to a big D1 school. There's multiple reasons why people play at smaller schools. Hence why they dominate, Ali Marpet and stuff like that. There's a lot of intangibles of why this stuff happens. But it doesn't mean that they can't be successful on a pro level, especially if they're matched up, with other veterans or other players, stuff like that. What's up, Flash? Like I said, if you got comments and stuff, go on ahead and put it in there and I'll get to it. Doesn't mean that they can't play on the level. This is what I'm trying to say. And Ali Marpet obviously proved that theory wrong, that he can play on the NFL level given the situation and do well. What's your thoughts? Contracts unsigned. As far as I know right now, and I could be wrong, don't quote me, the contracts that are not signed right now are Vea, Rojo, Jonah Jones, and Carlton Davis. MJ Stewart signed. I don't think Carlton Davis has signed his contract yet. Again, don't quote me on that, but that's what I think we have right now. I think we just have 3 that are unsigned. And hopefully they'll get signed. I hate all, money talks, especially with off-season and rookies. I would rather these guys get on the field and worry about playing than worry about money and contracts and stuff like that. Like, NFL's already, there's too many intangibles with money going on. I'd rather these guys worry about playing and getting better in their craft and supporting this community and stuff like that and moving on. The money, it's just too much, with money, and it just changes people, man. That's all I'll say. A little side note, I don't know if you know, Levante David and Jason Pierre-Paul were teammates before. Not in the NFL, of course, but they both played for Fort Scott Community College. It was junior college, and Levante and Jason were on the same side, and I guess that's pretty cool. That community college probably won a championship or pretty much dominated the line of scrimmage with them two on there. It's crazy that they're both teammates. Like I said, it's awesome to see things come together like that. It's pretty cool. Now that David's the old head now. Remember when he was by himself? Now we got the young Quan and young Beckwith now. We're getting a rotation. Remember I told you about rotation of players and stuff like that, and you move players out and then you got new guys that can move in, and that's the type of system we need to have, especially with D-line, corners, safety, offensive linemen. You keep are you gonna run into guys who don't quite fit in? Absolutely. But you just keep moving like that and you get these players shuffling in and out. No, I know you guys love my multiple screen. I didn't put 3 up. I think that'd be an overkill, but it's like Sports Center in my room, especially with football stuff and video games and stuff like that. That's pretty much all the topics. I wanted to say, I think there's another main topic, but I know people are still salty about, the Derwin James or the Vita Vea pick, and about the impacts of the play. Like, I know a lot of people are Florida State fans and they wanted him here. I just think we were in the same situation. I think the Buccaneers learned to not make the same mistake twice. We picked up Mark Barron in a draft when we still needed defensive linemen. And obviously, it didn't pan out. I ain't going to say it's all Mark Barron's fault. Don't know if it was a scheme. I mean, we did have too many coaches rotating in and out. And we did had a subpar pass rush. There's a lot of things, like our secondary was suffering then. And this me personally, I wanted Vea from the beginning. A lot of people shied on me like that. Oh, why? Blah blah blah. He's a 2-down player. It's just having a defensive line and getting to the quarterback makes everybody's job easier. And yes, I'm not just going to say that. You do get coverage sacks as well. That happens, but there's plays where the corner is covered last year and our pass rush was just insufficient. So the hard work that you put into covering for 3+ seconds didn't matter because we didn't have players that could get to him. Hey, Diana. It didn't matter. Oh, snap. A legend has stepped in the room. Mr. Peter Blake himself. Oh, Lord. Let me get my stuff together. Or is that there's plays, even with our secondary being as bad as it was, it didn't matter because our pass rush was so inadequate, and it suffered as a totality on the defense. So where I was basically at before was, I think we kind of learned from our mistakes when we picked up Mark Barron instead of going ahead and getting a defensive lineman. And as I said, I think they learned that. Like I said, what's up, Peter? And I think the Bucs learned from their mistakes this time. I said I think we're going to go ahead with the defensive line and go ahead and patch things up, which would have been great if we'd have got Chubb, and that'd have been another just pass rusher added to the group. You would have either got the top defensive end or the top defensive tackle. We ended up going top defensive tackle, which I think was a good idea anyway, because now you're thinking long term. McCoy's coming to the end of his contract. McCoy's already in his 30 year range. I mean, the Glazers wanted to trade him to a team that's trying to win now. You can possibly get a second or a first round pick, depending on how you play that out. Now you already have Vea. Now you just keep on adding on to that. You have Bo Allen. You have Unrich. You still have Vinny Curry, and you have Will Golson that could play both sides out. Built those lines up. Yeah, the game. Yeah, Peter. The game is won in the line of scrimmage. As ugly as it is, and as much as people don't want to talk about it, it's won in the trenches, man. You, it's like having the worst offensive line in the league, and then you draft a wide receiver. I mean, it's not going to matter to anything because you can't get the ball to the receivers because you can't get more than 3 seconds to throw the ball. You can't run the ball. I mean, like I said, it's an ugly position that nobody is going to get, credit. Everybody's going to go, wow, that's an awesome block. Nobody's going to ever say that. And again, they'd rather see the touchdown passes and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's what sells tickets. But the guys that there's watching football and there's knowing football, and that's just where the game is won in the trenches, both offense and defensive line. If you can't get to the quarterback in this pass happy league, you're in for a long day, man. And that goes with the linebackers too. You're going to see a much better play from Levante David and Quan Alexander. I mean, I'm telling you, you thought it was good before. The fact that you're going to suck up 2 blocks on the inside and leave those guys running free is going to be a nightmare for running backs. You think Levante David was getting strip sacks then? Yeah, where do you see it then? Let me make sure get this right. Was it 2013 draft for Mark Barron? Or was it 2014 draft? I want to make sure I quote this correctly. What was that, Peter? That's what the line. Oh, that's what the Lions do? Oh, yeah. You need an offensive line. You have the worst offensive line in the league, and you pick up a wide receiver. Yeah, that's what they do. That's exactly what they do. Dang, was Mark Barron 2012? Yep, see, you got me right before I caught it. It was Mark Barron 2012. 2012 draft. Yeah, the line was awful then. Our defensive line was awful then. Like I said, I've had this conversation, this argument over and over. We've had Darrelle Revis on this team, man, and it still didn't make a difference. You can put whoever you want in the secondary. If these guys got to cover for 8 seconds, all right, I might be exaggerating a little bit. They got to cover for at least six seconds. 5. That's too long. It's too long to cover somebody from outside the left hash to all the way to the right hash mark. That's a lot of field to cover. And you can just lay out and sit off your back foot and throw all the way over. Oh, please don't mention that name, Peter. First year Schiano. Those who watch me on here know my distaste for Schiano. You let Michael Bennett walk for Daniel Tianesum. Where do I start, Peter? Daniel Tianesum? And just the amount of other things, toes on the line. Oh God! Before I get out of here, I want to bring this point up. NFL 2012 draft flag. I just want to see where we learned what we learned from last time. And I believe we traded back that year, if I'm not mistaken, Peter. We traded back with Jacksonville. And I brought this up too. When we talk about why you don't pick up certain players for certain reasons. Like, well, why did they do that? Because there's a lot of investigations and stuff that you guys don't know about. Like, I'm going to drop this on you again. I've said this before. We traded back with Jacksonville in the same draft I'm talking about here and then selected Mark Barron. Because Jacksonville took Justin Blackman. See, the reason we didn't move on Justin Blackman because the Bucs hired a private investigator to follow Justin Blackman. Justin Blackman was going to the bar too many times, and the Bucs knew he had an alcohol problem. And hence, look what happened: DUIs, and he had an alcohol problem. So you move back. Like, there's stuff that you guys don't know about that goes on. All right. Yeah. See, I was right, and that was the Mo Claiborne draft. That's right. We moved back from a pick back, 2 picks back with Jacksonville. We moved from 5 to 7. Dallas went up and picked Morris Claiborne, thank God. And we selected Mark Barron. Now, bear with me. We had a terrible line in 2012 season. These are the defensive linemen that were passed that are relevant today. And like I said, I think the Bucs learn. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Okay, I'm just going to name some players that we passed, period. We passed on Stephon Gilmore. We passed on Dontari Poe. We passed on Fletcher Cox. We passed on Michael Brockers. We passed on Bruce Irvin. We passed on Melvin Ingram. We passed on Chandler Jones. We passed on Whitley Merciless. And we still no, we didn't really have a chance because that's the same draft we picked up Doug Martin at 31. So those were all pass rushers that are stars right now that we passed up for safety, and we needed defensive linemen. How do you think we would have looked with Fletcher Cox on this team? I'm sorry, and we passed Luke Kuechly. How could I forget that? Like I said, that type of decisions cost you later. Now, we don't know. Like I said, they say he's only a 2-down lineman. We'll see. We'll see how they play him. Bucks play a lot of nickel 3-3-5. 2-4-5. And they can play 3-3-5. But we played a lot of 2-4-5, especially against the Patriots. 2 DNs go inside. You can run 2 D Dacos and outside linebackers play outside. That's where I think Jack Kitchie's going to play in that. Yeah, Luke Kuechly, Peter. For Mark Barron. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. It's hard to say with Derwin James and all that. San Diego needed a safety. We needed a safety, but we needed to shore up. Defensive line is going to make everybody else's job easier. And the Bucks have no high praise for the young kid out of Pitt. I'm forgetting his name, slipping my mind, a brain fart sometimes. The kid out of Pitt, the safety, Jordan, I believe his first name. And they have high hopes for him. So I'm going to end this as we always do. Again, go to the website. All the money donated goes to Jameis Winston's Dream Forever Foundation, to the young kids that don't have access to laptops, tablets, and stuff like that. And the facility that he made for them is getting great. What did you say, Peter? Whitehead. Yeah, it reminds me of a young corner that we switched to safety, went to a small college, Tenard Jackson. Reminds me of that, but Jordan Whitehead, if you want to see some amazing stuff, Jordan Whitehead scored some touchdowns playing running back. If you want to check that video out, Jordan Whitehead, we'll see. He's pretty athletic, rangy safety. But it reminds me a lot of Tenard Jackson, one from a cornerback that we switched to safety, which, sad how that story turned out. It's a Bucks life. These guys lose their minds a little bit when they come out here to Florida, get caught up in that nightlife. That's why you can't pick up everybody here. That's why we didn't pick up Cook out of Florida State. He already had trouble he already had problems staying out of trouble at Florida State because he's getting in legal trouble. And then you want to stick him here? He's from Miami. Where do you think he's going to go in the offseason? Where do you think his friends are going to come? He'll come right here, or he's going to go there and getting in trouble. So sticking him up in Minnesota was actually a pretty good decision. Now, would I like to pick up Jared Cook later on when he's matured? Absolutely. I think it was a good idea that Jason Pierre-Paul didn't come to this team when he was young. Absolutely, I think so. He can come here now. He's matured. He's got a family. I'm not sure if he's got a family, but he's older, and that's what I'm trying to get at. And that's basically what it is. Again, make sure you guys donate. All that money goes to that. Check out the website, www.buckandblakesports.com. I update it all the time. I'll be probably doing some raffles to give away a Vea jersey. Like I said, stay posted with that and all the information. All that money, like I said before, goes to that. And it's as we always do. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, or what you do with it, is entirely up to you. Y'all be safe. God bless. And fire those cannons.